Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we, the folks at Nerd Caliber, talk about nerd news that has happened over the last week since our last show last Tuesday. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor in chief of Nerd Caliber, first person shooter on Facebook and Instagram as a cosplay photographer, a burly adopter on Mastodon, and I think a couple of other places. Before we get into tonight's show, let me say it's going to be a little bit longer than last week's, probably in part because we have a few more topics, but also because of the first topic. And that first topic is that this past Sunday, at the age of 58, the actor Ray Stevenson passed away in Italy for what I have yet to be able to find out the causes for what I've been. Anyway, I do not know what caused his death. That wasn't provided when the announcement went out, and I haven't seen any updates to it since. Ray Stevenson is known to nerd peoples like you and I, probably mostly for either this role here, Frank Castle in The Punisher Warzone, or this role here, Volstagg, in the first three Thor movies. By the way, also welcome to Harry Brady, who's already in the chat on YouTube, to Bonnie the Bunny. Both of you very excited for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie news. Right there with you. So Ray Stevenson, again, so many wonderful roles, particularly in nerd or nerd-focused movies. This isn't technically nerd, but he did a lot of this sort of stuff as well. And the first thing I ever saw him in and instantly fell in love with his portrayal of this character is as Titus Pullo in the HBO BBC co-production Rome. Shown here in this image with his, as Jay of Jay and Silent Bob would say, hetero life mate, Lucius Vorenus. The character is fantastic. Stevenson's portrayal of him is fantastic, as sort of a charming, lovable idiot, I guess is probably not an inaccurate way to describe him. Simple person, let's put it that way. But just a very complex portrayal of somebody like that. Fantastic, fantastic job. Most people these days probably know him from this role. He was the commander of certain sections of the British Raj in the movie RRR, Scott Buxton. And he was wonderful as a type of character he doesn't often portray, a just straight up bad guy. Sometimes he will portray characters who are the antagonists in a movie or a show, but he's very rarely just a straight up bad guy. And it's, you know, it's a really wonderful performance. He really chews some scenery, but it's kind of sad that that's one of the last things that we'll see him do. Going back to some of his earlier roles, he was in Paul W.S. Anderson's version of The Three Musketeers, with Count Dracula and Percy Jackson. Obviously not their real actors' names. He was one of the main antagonists in G.I. Joe Retaliation. He played Firefly. If you are a fan of that movie, he was Blackbeard in a couple of the final seasons, basically, of Black Sails, the TV series. Continuing with his more historical, even if it's, historical fiction work, this is him from the last couple of seasons of Vikings, as a character named Oter, or Otere, depending on how they pronounce it. He was just a wonderful, wonderful actor. He was supposed to be, or will be, I guess, because I've actually shown him in scenes from this, in the upcoming Disney series Ahsoka. He voiced the character Gar Saxon in both Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, the animated series, from what I understand, he is not playing Gar Saxon. I don't think that character is in the live action series Ahsoka that's currently in production. Whether or not he's going to be in the series, to what extent he's going to be in the series, is at this point obviously unknown. He clearly did film some stuff because he is in the first trailer that they put out for Ahsoka. So I'm hoping that they will keep his role in there and maybe just write around it in some fashion, because he looked just absolutely badass. Again, portraying a character against his normal type, where he usually plays either heroic characters or at least sympathetic antagonists. This guy did not look like a sympathetic antagonist at all. He had the red lightsaber. He was clearly a Sith, and was a pretty frightening one at that. So anyway, that's enough of me gushing about how much I really liked Ray Stevenson as an actor. So many other movies I didn't mention. The Book of Eli, Anton Fuqua's King Arthur. So many good movies and TV appearances. Let's see, is there anything else they mentioned in here? Yeah, I guess that pretty much covers most of them. If you haven't seen a lot of the other things that I've mentioned, the movies that he's been in, I would recommend them. I've always liked everything he's been in. You know, Punisher Warzone, they absolutely nailed the tone and the look of the Punisher Warzone, Marvel Max imprint series. While the movie itself didn't hold together that well, he was really good. And again, they captured the feel of the Punisher Warzone perfectly. So anyway, go check out a bunch of those things if you haven't seen it. If you can stomach all the blood and gore and sex and violence, and you've got an HBO Max subscription, or Max, or whatever the heck they're calling it these days, binge watch Rome. It's fantastic. Anyway, moving on to our next topic. Before we get there, of course, our condolences to all of his family members, all of his friends that survived him, all of his fans around the world who lost a really wonderful actor who did fantastic work, concentrating a lot on the kind of movies that nerds like us really like. Okay, we're going to keep with some of the historical stuff, or historical fiction for sure, if not straight up fantastical fiction. And that is, there is a new King Arthur series coming from MGM Plus, the streaming service that used to be called Epix, and starring Ian DeCasticker, probably mispronouncing his name, who played Fitz on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that's mostly what anybody here in the United States would know him from. And in this scene, also Eddie Marsan playing Uther, High King Uther Pendragon. The cast makes me pretty excited. Morgan Le Fay, called here just Morgan, is played by, I'm going to screw up her first name, I apologize. It's either Valene or Valine Kane, who most people would, again, most of us nerds would remember as Jyn Erso's mother in the first, spoiler, few minutes, because that's all she makes it, of Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. So Eddie Marsan, Ian DeCasticker, this Valene Kane, I'm in for that. I'm also really in because this is an adaptation of Bernard Cornwell's books, The Warlord Chronicles, a trilogy that is supposed to be a potentially authentic-ish version of, if Arthur really lived, he would be a 5th century post-Roman Britain, Celtic Britain, struggling to try to keep what's left of what was a unified country together as, Irish pirates raid the West Coast and Saxon invaders attack the East Coast, and things are falling apart. And I like that idea. I really like that concept. Bernard Cornwell, for people who are historical fantasy fans, probably know him as the author of the books that the Last Kingdom series, the Netflix, also BBC co-production, I think, was based on. And that was very, very popular. That is set a couple hundred years later, a few hundred years later. It's the story of Wessex, one of the early Saxon kingdoms, and their struggle with Viking raiders and the Danelaw and so on. He also wrote the Sharpe novels, the story of Richard Sharpe, set during the Napoleonic Wars, which was a huge hit for the BBC and the first thing that turned Sean Bean into an international star. Pardon me. So, given that it's an adaptation of Cornwell, whose two adaptations out of the BBC have been monster hits and very well done, and the cast and so on, I'm really leaning towards I'll probably like this. Now, I have seen some early shots. The costuming looks a little Guy Ritchie, what was it? The Sword of Arthur, The Legend of the Sword, or whatever the heck, that terrible, terrible King Arthur movie. Can't remember what I called it. The Legend of Arthur and the Macklemore Coat, or something like that. Just awful, awful production design in that thing. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Some of the other shots that I've seen from this look really good. And again, there's nothing in here that I can complain about as far as, tunics and the looks of things that people in that period might wear. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what kind of swords they give them, things like that. But anyway, it looks really good. It is, like I said, coming on MGM Plus. It's going to be 10 episodes. I don't see... August 20th is actually when it drops. And I hate to... I might have to pick up MGM Plus again. I had it for a little while when it was Epix because they were running the completely, just absolutely lost his name, and it kills me. Batman's butler. Come on, somebody, throw it out there for me. I for some reason I can't get my head past Jeeves, and it's definitely not Jeeves or Jarvis. But anyway, there was a prequel series about him in the 1960s in London, basically getting involved with Thomas Wayne, among other things, but also London gangs. And Pennyworth. Alfred Pennyworth. Thank you, Bonnie. The series was called Pennyworth. And it was really good. So I did have a subscription to Epix for that. I will probably have to renew my subscription for this King Arthur thing, called The Winter King. In case I didn't say that. I think I did maybe at the beginning. I probably didn't. The name of the series is The Winter King. So there you go. August 20th, if you're a fan of that sort of stuff. All right. First bit of casting news. That right there is Chiwetel Ejiofor as Baron Mordo. This is from the first Doctor Strange movie, character he also played, or a variation of a character he played in Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness. The news is that he has been cast to appear in... in Venom 3. This is news coming as an exclusive from Deadline that Sony has not confirmed, so it may or may not be true. And Sony, according to the article, had no comment on Ejiofor's casting. They're stating it like it's absolutely a done deal. Now, there's not much to say about this because since they're not even confirming that he's casting, we have no idea who he's playing. In the lead paragraph of the article, the writer for Deadline says, After matching wits with Doctor Strange, Chiwetel Ejiofor has found a new superhero to face off against. As sources tell Deadline, Ejiofor has closed a deal to co-star opposite Tom Hardy in Sony and Marvel's Venom 3. So first off, they're calling Venom a superhero, which is really not the case. But that means that Ejiofor would probably be playing somebody else in the Spider-Man universe that may or may not already have a connection to Venom. Who that is among the various Venom other symbiotes, I don't know. You get past Carnage and I'm lost. And Carnage has already appeared. It might be some other character within the Marvel or within the Sony, within the Spider-Man aspect of the Marvel Comics universe. Because again, Sony has rights to all of those characters that are associated primarily as Spider-Man appearances. So it could be the Prowler, although Sony has already used the Prowler in Into the Spider-Verse, the animated series. The Venom stuff is not connected at all, so they could still use, the Prowler. There are other characters they could be. Then again, they could not necessarily need to cast him as a character who is a black man. It could literally be anybody, as long as their ethnicity isn't pertinent to the character. So who's to say who Chiwetel Ejiofor was going to be playing? I don't know that I have a particular choice that I would really like to see. And in part because aside from just how kind of dumb fun Venom was, everything Sony has done on its own with Spider-Man has just sucked. Morbius was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I don't know about Kraven the Hunter. I'm kind of looking forward to that. But mainly because of Aaron Taylor Johnson. But we'll have to see. Morbius certainly didn't give us any good feelings about what they're doing once they're doing stuff outside of Spider-Man with the MCU. Outside of the Tom Holland work. So we'll have to see. We'll see if Sony confirms this, and if they do, if and when they say who he's playing. But I like Chiwetel Ejiofor a lot. I think he's a great actor. I've liked him going all the way back to Serenity, which was absolutely a fantastic role that he played there. Very chilling. So I'm looking forward to seeing more about this, and we'll definitely let you know as we find out more. More casting news. That is there on your screens. Brianna Hildebrandt in the front and Shioli Kutsuna in the back, playing characters Negasonic Teenage Warhead and her girlfriend Yukio. The news is that they have both signed on, to be in the upcoming Deadpool 3 sequel. Playing their characters, of course, of Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Yukio. I think this is fantastic. This rounds out coming back from previous movies. Karan Soni, Dopinder, Leslie Uggams, Blind Al, Morena Baccarin as Vanessa, Stefan Kapicic as Colossus, and for some reason, Rob Delaney as Peter, the only surviving member of the X-Force. And of course, the new addition of Hugh Jackman, as Logan. Of course, it's a Deadpool movie. I was sold right then and there. When they announced that Hugh Jackman was going to be playing Wolverine in it, I was 100% over the moon about that. But now that they've basically made it very clear that whatever they're doing with this, they are going to continue the continuity of Deadpool. by having all of those characters coming back, yes, yes, please. Whether or not this sort of puts a bow in the whole Deadpool thing as far as Marvel goes, or it somehow sets it up that it could be possible that these characters could wind up in the MCU, I don't know, and I'm not going to make any bets on that. Either way is okay with me. I know I have a preference. I don't want Ryan Reynolds to ever stop playing Deadpool, ever, ever, ever. But, if it has a really wonderful, wrap up to the whole storyline, then I'm fine with that too. But it's great that these two are coming back. Just some of the best quick comedic character bits in both Deadpool 1 and 2 from Hildebrand. Really awesome. So yeah, very excited for this. Can't wait for the movie to come out. I have to wait a year and a half. So November 8th, 24. But I'm excited. Very much looking forward to it. Very happy that they're back. All right, our next topic is, this is a screen grab from the trailer that dropped for what was Mortal Kombat 12. Harry Brady agrees with me. I think Deadpool should still be going on. I agree 100%. I really want that. Not just Deadpool. I really want Ryan Reynolds to continue as Deadpool in the MCU. But, we'll have to see. If it were to happen, assuming that none of this all comes mashed together until the end of Avengers Secret Wars, if they are sticking with the way this sort of works, let me get that off the screen, the way this sort of works with from the comics, with the most recent Secret Wars, then all of these, multiversal aspects of the multiverse of the different aspects of Marvel comics, in this case from the comics, all sort of get mashed together. And that allows Miles Morales to come into the Marvel cinema or the Marvel Comics universe. Basically it was a way to get the Ultimates characters into Marvel, as well as some others. Also sort of an explanation for how Angela got into Marvel Cinematic Universe that didn't involve Neil Gaiman basically legally butt-pounding Todd McFarlane over some intellectual property rights. Go look that up, folks. It's one of the most hilarious stories. The Samurai, I've been subbed for 6 years. Thank you, Samurai. Thank you for being a fan of the channel for that long. We appreciate it an awful lot. Anyway, so I agree, Harry. Deadpool, keep going. Ryan Reynolds, keep doing Deadpool, please, please. Anyway, to get back to, this was supposed to be Mortal Kombat 12. It is now called Mortal Kombat 1. And NetherRealms put out this really fantastic trailer. And I'm going to describe it here using their quote from the press release. Quote, a reborn Mortal Kombat universe that has been created by the fire god Liu Kang that is with reimagined versions of iconic characters. If you watch the trailer, well, first off, if you watch the trailer, it's Mortal Kombat. It is violent, bloody, gory, disgusting. Once it reaches a certain point, it isn't at all. They sort of set up what's going on here for like the first 2/3 of the trailer, and then suddenly they start showing actual combat, and it's if you look at this screenshot, you can see how wonderfully realistic. I don't know if it's done in Unreal Engine 5, or what it's being developed in. It doesn't say here. If anybody who's been paying attention to this knows, let me know in the comments. But it looks terribly realistic, and the fatalities look way more horrifying than they even already have in previous iterations of this game. It's disturbing. it's surgical training videos level of disturbing. Just go into it if you're going to watch the trailer knowing that. If you're a fan of the Mortal Kombat game series, you're probably already fine with that anyway. But just let me, they kick it up a lot. But it looks really cool for the character designs, the gameplay and everything. This one aspect of it looks really interesting. The game will also include a new feature called Cameo Fighters, described as, quote, a unique roster of partners to assist you in battle. And they show in the trailer that you can, they have Scorpion and Sub-Zero either fight or cooperate to fight others. Oh, I did not. So, Samurai says Fire God Liu Kang is going to be a playable character. This is going to be awesome. I agree. I didn't know the first part. I agree with the second part. I'm not a huge fan of fighting games because I pretty much suck at them. At my age, the hand-eye coordination just doesn't work. The idea of being able to play cooperatively with either another player or even if it's an AI generated NPC version of another character from Mortal Kombat while you're taking on other people, that interests me. I can use that crutch, believe me, when it comes to playing fighting games. But it just looks really cool. I really like this idea that they hit 11. And then instead of actually calling this 12, let's take the game in a different direction, the story in a different direction. We'll make sure that it's clear that it is an alternate reality version of the game. And to do that, they go right down to renumbering it as Mortal Kombat 1. And I think that's really cool. I like that idea. Because there's only so many times you can come up with, okay, here's a different stage that they're fighting in. The graphics now look a little bit better. Here's the new costume design. Here are the characters that are starting. And by the way, these are the stages of the DLC that we're going to be announcing that you can unlock new characters, blah, blah, blah. That's pretty much been the strategy for the last 4 games, I guess. And this is different. This is something new and looks really interesting. So I'm very excited to see it. September 9th. I believe it is coming September 9th of this year. It doesn't say in here, but I know it's sometime earlier mid-September. I do remember that. So you've only got a few months to wait. The Samurai. Imagine if it's sponsored by EA. If I don't know enough about it. Why would EA sponsor a game that's published by Warner Brothers? There might be a joke in there, or there might be some. I'm not getting it, Samurai. Feel free to explain it. I'm sorry. I'm not that sharp on it. To make money. Okay. Again, I don't know why EA would sponsor a game by some other publisher. Why would they sponsor a Warner Brothers game? But anyway, I'm missing something. I know I'm missing something there. Sorry, Samurai. Sorry for being so dense about that. All right. Moving on to our next topic. And that is the end of a wonderful 2-year-long experiment. And that is Disney World has announced that it is going to be closing down the hotel interactive experience Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser late in September. Here's another September thing happening this year. So this was insanely popular. I don't think it was ever not sold out, despite the fact that for a single person, the 48-hour experience would cost you $1,200. The average family would be, it was a $6,000 bill. on top of assuming you were paying thousands to go just to, Disney World in general. And as it turns out, even at that price, it was apparently too expensive to operate. They were not making enough of a profit. Um, Disney clearly makes huge profits off of its theme parks and the various aspects of its theme parks. And if they don't, and are in fact maybe they made some profit, but weren't up to the levels of the profit margins of other aspects of the theme park, I get why they're closing it down. It's a shame. I didn't know whether or not I should put this on our topic roster for tonight until I noticed that in one 3-hour stretch, every third post on my Facebook feed was, "Oh my God, no!" and news about this. So it's huge among nerds and particularly those people that I am friends with on Facebook. The Samurai, I don't know if this is true, but some rumor said the Xenomorph is going to be in it, referencing back to Mortal Kombat 1. I haven't heard that. I think that would be fascinating. The Xenomorph has been in fighting games in the past, though, yes? Again, I don't do fighting games, so somebody, Samurai, you seem to be way more up on this. Let me know if they've appeared in something else. I think the Xenomorph was a playable thing. I can't remember in what. God, it might have been the DC one. Anyway. So the Galactic Starcruiser, if you want to get it, and if, now that they've made this announcement, if there's any chance that you can book a room in the next 4 months, that's how long you've got. From everybody I know who went, who did it, they loved it. Granted, they were the kind of person who was going to pony up $1,200 to spend 2 nights in an experience that looked like you were staying in a hotel in a Starcruiser. Bonnie, the Xenomorph was also been in Mortal Kombat 10. Thank you. That's right. I knew it was in something. So this is very sad news for those my friends who are big Star Wars fans, and I have a lot of them. I hope that those of you who are fans did manage to get there before they made this announcement, because again, I doubt that there's any chance, now that they've made the announcement, that you're going to be able to get there in the next 4 months. I'm assuming it's booked solid. But that's all the news for that. There doesn't seem to be any plans to, well, I don't know. So this is a company statement. Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser is one of our most creative projects ever, has been praised by our guests for recognized for setting a new bar for innovative and immersive entertainment. The premium boutique experience gave us the opportunity to try new things on a smaller scale of 100 rooms, and as we prepare for its final voyage, we will take what we've learned to create future experiences that can reach more of our guests and fans. So, if I were to read between the lines, what I think they may do is create a full-size resort hotel, like they have many other, hundreds upon hundreds of rooms, resort hotels all around the theme park, and theme it to Star Wars without necessarily the full immersive experience of the Starcruiser, and bring the price down to match the level of the other themed resort hotels. I don't know that's the case. After decades and decades of reading PR gobbledygook speak from tech executives, Samurai has to go. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the chat and the information. We'll hope to see you at another chat in another live Nerd Week Live, as opposed to the dead Nerd Week Lives. But yeah, I'm pretty good at sort of reading between the lines of this sort of stuff, and that seems to be what they're indicating here. We'll have to see down the road, who knows, after this thing is gone and they see whether or not there's an awful lot of, oh my God, bring it back kind of campaigns, maybe then they'll have that announcement that, oh, by the way, we're not bringing back Starcruiser, but the new Star Wars themed full featured 1,000-room hotel, blah, 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 is coming. You heard it here first. Probably not first. Absolutely sure somebody else has said this before me. But first to me. First time I've ever said it. All right, moving on to our last topic, and it's the one that an awful lot of you have been waiting for. That is from the trailer of the movie Five Nights at Freddy's. That is, of course, the signage outside of the wonderful Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And the trailer looks really, really good. They announced this back in 2015. It's taken that long to get this thing out. It is being made by Blumhouse. So, along with A24 for the more higher end, weirder horror stuff, Blumhouse is, the one of the two top tier modern horror making studios out there. That makes me feel really good about this. Josh Hutcherson is the lead. He's a solid young actor. I think that's very good. Matthew Lillard, thank God, is coming back into doing some more live action movie stuff. He's been just riding Shaggy, voice acting Shaggy, for a couple of decades practically. Not entirely. And he's actually done a fair amount of TV work, some fairly regular stuff on some pretty popular series. But as far as getting out there into movies, he had that, burst that kind of ended with the James Gunn written live action Scooby-Doo movie. And that was it. He's been in a few little things, but, absolute wonderful things, like going all the way back to The Perfect Score, to Hackers, to SLC Punk. He's not really done a ton of movies since then. So I'm 13 Ghosts. All of that was within, I think, like a 5-year period. And then he did Scooby-Doo, and he's been making bank doing Scooby-Doo, doing Shaggy voice in games and series, animated series, and everything. So I'm really glad to see Matthew Lillard coming back. The movie captures the jump scare, super tense tone of the video game. Like somebody mentioned Xenomorph, like Alien, the original Alien, where it was just tension all the time. Other movies have done a varying degrees version of that. None of them had that sort of super tense monster movie in space kind of feel that the original Alien did, and this trailer gave me those same vibes with a little bit more humor. It looks really, really good. The character designs of all of the animatronic nightmare fuel characters, top notch. It looks great. I'm really looking forward to seeing this. It is coming out on. I always forget to look these things up beforehand. I did not realize this. The animatronic designs and the technology are made by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. 1,000 times yes. So this is coming out exclusively in theaters, although they announced that it was going to be on a streaming service movie on Peacock because it's a Universal movie. Peacock is clearly struggling. It is the bastard stepchild of all of the streaming services right now. And you know what? This is just killing me. I know I've got Lillard's stuff up here. Let me go right to Five Nights and look for an opening date here on IMDb. October 27th. Oh, that's, of course, the perfect release window. Halloween, October 27th, 2023. So there's your Halloween date, folks. You know, take your date to Five Nights at Freddy's and, you know, enjoy screaming together. Speaking of enjoying things, I'm going to enjoy wrapping this show up. Once again, I think I forgot to do this last week. If you have a Patreon account, we would love to have you be a supporter of us at patreon.com/nerdcaliber. It's the URL that's on your screen right now. We only have 3 tiers. $2 is the lowest tier. It basically helps us get out and cover more cons, get you more content. Now that cons are coming back moderately safely. I'm going to say moderately because, you know, one of our team members went out to cover Neotropolis, the cyberpunk-themed event out in Nevada, and came back with COVID. But moderately safety. Haiti Gray, hi, welcome to me just wrapping up the show. You got here just in time for the end. But we'll be at more cons. We're starting to get more video back up here with, you know, questions of the day and other kinds of videos. And hopefully we'll see you at some of those cons. Please do stay safe. If you're going to a con is a place where an awful lot of people bump into your elbows and do this. And that means they are within, thank you for all the emojis, Haiti Gray. So if you are out there at a con, please do wear a mask if you are you know, anywhere within a crowd. We don't want you to get that COVID. So that said, we'll see you at an upcoming con. Let's see. I'm not really sure, again, what we're doing. We're trying to get to Kineticon. We might be at PortCon Maine. Awful lot of stuff up in the air right now. But we'll let you know for sure. We will have people at Otakon, of course. We'll have people at Colossal Con East. Let's see. What else do we know for sure that we've got people going to coming up? Right off the top of my head, that's it. But anyway, we'll see you at an upcoming con or next week's show. With that, stay safe. Good night.